Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Bad Times, Good Stories podcast. My name is Joe Flanders, and I am excited for you guys to hear this episode. I'm going to get right to it. I hope you're having a good week, a good day, a good morning, a good evening. But I'm excited. Today on the show is someone I've known off and on for close to a decade. Her name is Nicole Hodges, and she's a really talented actor and model and all-around awesome person. Today on the show, we are talking about things that you do in the car that you're not necessarily proud of. Her first story involves peeing herself while in the UK, and my big story comes to its climax at a Alabama gas station. So I don't know that I've laughed more during an episode than this one. We also talk about, and I swear this isn't going to be a reoccurring theme, but Nicole is yet another person whom I had a crush on years ago. And unlike previous episodes where this subject has come up, I did make a move. However, it did not go well. And we talk about that and laughed a lot about it. So this episode, almost more than any other, I think we're truly embracing some pretty embarrassing and cringeworthy things that we've both done that involved each other and also not each other. You can check out badtimesgoodstoriespod.com and listen to past episodes. You can go through the 50 episodes now that have been released. That's like 50 hours of awkward, cringeworthy, embarrassing stories. And I'm really proud to have made it to 50. And here's looking at 50 more. So check out badtimesgoodstoriespod.com. Previous episodes. Check out our merch. There's also a link to my Patreon page. The show is always free, but it's not free to produce. So any help that you guys can give is greatly appreciated. Just a reminder, if you listen to this on SoundCloud, you won't be able to do that much longer. New episodes will stop uploading to SoundCloud, I believe, next week. So I've switched providers. I'm now with Podbean, which is an Android-friendly app that you can find the show on. I believe also Stitcher is Android compatible. And for you iPhone folks, you got iTunes and Apple Podcasts. But without further ado, here's my conversation with the amazing, talented, and all-around friendly, wonderful person, Nicole Hodges. Okay, so I feel as though I should start with an apology of sorts. Well, let's backtrack. So we knew each other in college somewhat.
Yes.
What would you say? Did we ever hang out?
I think we actually met on the Hank Effect.
That's right.
Or like we had kind of met maybe a little bit like at one of like the screenings on Wednesday nights or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But like when we really got to know each other, and I will never forget it, you were working on the Hank Effect and you showed me your thumb. And
Yes.
I was like, you and Grady, that's when I really got to know the two of you so well.
Mhm.
And I had more fun goofing off with the two of you in that whole like dance sequence. And I was like, these guys are fun.
That's so fun. I totally forgot about the Hank Effect, which was a short film for the listener that we both worked on. Nicole was acting in it. I was helping out behind the scenes. And I have an extreme hitchhiker's thumb.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that left an impression.
Oh, it did. And some super sweet dance skills. Super sweet dance skills.
Yes. I'll let you say it.
It's true.
But other than that, like, yeah, I think we were kind of on the radar because you were 2 years ahead of me in school. Okay. And then you came out here in what, like 2012, 13?
2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I saw that, and that's when I was shooting a lot of Average Joes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Nicole would be fun. Let's do it. So we did an episode. And then this began the period of time where I would just fall for whichever girl I was hanging out with.
Yeah.
And because I remember we did the short, and then we ended up like watching Once on Valentine's Day.
Yes. Yes.
And for some hindsight or for some context into where I was at, every date I would go on would end with, I'm just here. I'm pursuing my career. And I don't like it was to the point where, and I actually even audio recorded a conversation I was having with somebody about future plans. Because I was like, I need my roommate to listen to this to make sure that I'm not insane. Because what is happening here?
Right.
And I basically was just like, it was a conversation we had at the bar and like, you know, whatever, we like made out at the bar and I was like, okay, this seems to be going well.
Right.
And like based on the conversation, there was some event that was in town the following weekend or something. Like, oh, we should go to that. And then on a dime, it was just like, listen, I think we need to like pump the brakes. I'm just really focused on my career right now. And I was like, what is happening?
So this girl did that to you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I was like, am I like some crazy person? Like, what am I just like, don't leave.
No.
What are we doing?
No.
And so I played it I was like, okay, I just need somebody to listen to this. Which maybe that was kind of weird to record the conversation. No. But I was just like, I was like, what is happening?
You have to get down and dirty in the underbelly of what's going on.
Yeah. Because I was like, I'm open to like, maybe I'm too close to this. No. I can't tell what's happening. But anyway, so that was where those are the dates that I was going on.
Sure.
So there was this whole period. There's been several guests on the show who have fallen into this category. Hallie Cooper was also one.
Oh,
where it was just like by default, I was like, oh, I'm just hanging out with this person. This seems cool. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, and in this town especially, you have so many like career-driven people.
Yes.
And, you know, like I've gone on some great dates and I was like, oh, that went really well. And they're like, sorry, I have to leave. I'm going to Toronto for 8 months to do that. And you're like, oh, okay, well, all right. Well, see ya. Yeah. You know, or like for me, this was fun. I came here and I was seriously dating somebody and I really was falling for him. Like we were spending a lot of time together. It was a lot of fun. Then all of a sudden he was like, actually, no, would never call me his girlfriend. And which kind of broke my heart. But when like push came to shove, like he ended up breaking things off. And I was like, well, that blows. Like, you know, like what you kind of think is going on isn't what's really happening. Now he's got a girlfriend and he's really happy. And I'm a little jealous, but it's all right. I'll survive.
There's always that tinge of jealousy.
Right. Like, you're like, I don't want to date that. But I'm like, what?
Why not me? Yeah, exactly. So is that the person that you were kind of dating when we were hanging out?
No, that was
somebody else.
This was somebody else.
Okay. Because I remember. So that was where my frame of mind was. So I was like, there was never any signs on your end that were like, I'm into you.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, we're watching Once on Valentine's Day, and like you got me a card. I remember that, and you're just being a sweet person. Aww. But I was just like, baby, could it be? I don't know. And then I was remembering. I picked you up from the airport one time.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? And we couldn't get into the house that you were staying in. So like I climbed up, like I shimmied up.
Oh my gosh. I completely forgot about this. And the bar broke.
Yeah. So I was like dangling from a second-story balcony or something.
You jumped over. I'd completely forgotten about that. And because there was no light on outside.
No.
So I was using my phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Joe. And that was when the flashlight was still an app. It wasn't even built into the phone yet.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And in my head, it was like an action star moment where I was like dangling, but I'm sure it was just like, ah! And then I just like rearranged myself. But I forgot about it.
Really action. It was from the back end. It was solid superhero. It was solid superhero. Truly. It really was. Oh my gosh. I forgot.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my gosh. Well, and also the time that we watched Once, I was still I was dating somebody. It was long distance that time, and you think long distance is actually going to work.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just remember being really grateful. It's like, it almost felt like I was like a kitten on Valentine's Day with no home.
Yeah.
And I felt like you were like, well, come on over. We'll have wine. I was like, yeah, okay. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for taking me in. This is so great.
What a nice thing to do. Yeah.
It's just funny to hear the other side of this story,
exactly. Just totally on different wavelengths.
Like I'm over here being like,
I'm alone. I'm like, I'm also alone.
Oh, Joe, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. That's kind of the fun of this podcast, is to talk about things. Because in a way, it was almost like I was just going through this self-sabotaging run of just like, I don't think this is going to work, but I'm going to pretend like it is.
Try.
Yeah.
But you know what? Kudos though for giving it a shot. Like, you know, my mom always says, she's like, you never know a shoe fits until you try it on. And you're like, true. And there's so many people that will talk themselves out of even asking. Like, worst thing somebody's going to say is, you know, no, or sorry, or, you know, not going to happen. But you know, it's just it's so interesting to hear it from the other side of everything.
And the first episode of sort of the reboot of the show, I talked with a girl that I had a giant crush on in high school and never told her, to the point where I made a movie where the guy does tell the girl.
Whoa.
And she basically played herself in the movie. It wasn't supposed to be her. It was supposed to be somebody from School of the Arts, but they dropped out 2 weeks before the shoot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And so I was like, well, she did drama in high school, and I wrote it in her voice. She could probably pull it off. And we never addressed it, even though it was clear as hell that it was our lives. And what's funny is that, because I just thought she was dumb at a certain point. I was like, you're not going to, like...
You're not going to bring it up? You're not going to talk about it?
I mean, I guess I could have too, but I didn't want to... I was like, on the off chance that she's dense, you know, I was like, I don't want to mention this. And then her be like, whoa, this is weird. And in the conversation I had with her, it was revealed that, because I had texted her like, what do you think of the script? Like a week before shooting. And she was like, love it. I was like, all right, cool, I'm glad.
Yeah.
And then it was revealed in the conversation we had that she actually hadn't read it yet and didn't read it until the night before the shoot, when she, of course, realized what it was furious. And I was like, what am I doing in this guy's weird fantasy? And I was not playing myself, by the way. So that's good. But then she, you know, good character, because she was like, oh, well, I signed up to do it, so I'm going to do it. But anyway, so that's where I was as like a high schooler.
Yeah.
So I just went the complete 180 and was just, I'm just going to tell everybody. Even if there's no real signs, it's like, hey. So it just went from one extreme to the other.
Sure.
And then finally I got to a place, thank God, where I was like able to pick up on mutual signs and be like, oh, this seems to be reciprocated.
This how this works.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're there, because I sure know I am not there yet. I am still stumbling around that whole dating pool. It's very exciting.
It's a work in progress, you know. But I'm
glad to know there's a success rate.
Yes, it does happen. It does happen. So then I remember we went out to dinner and I was talking about my frustrations.
Yeah.
And we were walking back and then you said, well, we'll find a girl for you somewhere, Joe. And then I was like, there was still a part of me that thought my life was a movie at that point.
Sure.
I had that all through high school.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And then I was like, well, that seems like a teed up way of saying, well, I think I found somebody. But of course I didn't say it like a suave person. Right. So I don't know if you remember this, but I was like, I think I found that person. And you're like, oh, really? Who? I was like, she's got blonde hair and
oh no,
she's standing next to me.
I remember that. I do remember that. I do.
And you were as nice as you could be, and then you mentioned the guy you were dating, and then I think I was like, you could just not date him anymore. And you're like, oh, but that's not okay to say.
Honestly, like I do remember that moment. I definitely remember that moment, and it still makes me flushed even today. Just because being on the receiving end of that is just it's the most flattering thing in the entire world. Especially like I don't always have the greatest self-esteem, so to know that somebody that is great and creative and fancies you is always awesome. But at the same time, it's like you're dating somebody else. There's all sorts of stuff going on, and you don't want to be like no, never gonna happen. Yeah. Forget it,
Yeah.
But but you also can't be like, you don't want to lead on,
Yeah, it's a weird situation to be in.
Yeah,
it's equal parts flattering and also like got to nip this right away.
Yeah,
because this isn't gonna.
Yeah,
no, we're good.
I always admired how like that's not an easy thing to do, to throw yourself out there and throw your feelings out there. Mm-hmm. And I think there's certain people in this world I think need to do it way more often.
Yeah,
I think take a note from the Joe book, and be like. So,
but maybe do it a little quicker so that it's clear from the get-go instead of letting it fester, I guess,
right.
for a couple months, and then it becomes this one-sided thing where it's like, because then your whole point of view is just like, oh, she like hugged me for an extra couple seconds there. What's that mean? I bet it means she likes me. Like everything just turns to that,
Right.
Like, so anyway, to get back to why I originally said apology might need to be in order is because after that, I think you kind of started traveling a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up not staying in LA. Like I had to leave. Funny enough, just the full circle of my life. I don't know if you remember this, but so after Valentine's Day, we drank a bunch of wine, we hung out. talking about, in the glory of this podcast, I actually got a DUI that night. I left your apartment.
Really?
Yes. And that's why I say, like, the inertia of my fun life. I have 2 on record, which is great. But I say great. It's not great.
No, I've got one.
It was crap. Yeah. Yeah. See, I mean, 80% of the world does. Yeah. But because of all of that, like, I wasn't able to afford to live in LA anymore. So back home. But what was cool is that even out of that muck and mess of what happened just in my life, I got the Ned Show, which is a traveling motivational speaking yo-yo show.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, yeah, it's awesome. So I went around the world. I get to go around the world and teach kids it's like, do what I say, not what I do. Or if bad things happen, they'll get better. Things will keep going on and moving forward. And so, like, even tomorrow, I'm leaving for England to actually go do the show over there for 2.5 weeks. So it's like, it's really awesome.
And you wouldn't have gotten that had you not gotten a DUI.
Because honestly, I needed a second job, and I was like, oh, universe, I need to apologize for how much I've messed up, and how do I, give back to this thing? How do I make it right, make my world right?
Was it hard leaving though? Did it feel like you were like, you failed and you were like, oh, now I'm going home? And
every time. Yeah. Like, I moved back home twice. And I remember when I was younger, looking back at people that moved back home, like, older people that come back and be like, oh, what, you can't hack it in the real world?
Right.
Like, you can't, you had to move back home to mommy. And then I did it twice. And I was like, yeah, you got to move back home to mommy. Like, sometimes you got to regroup. And I always say to people, like, what might feel like a step back is actually gearing you for the giant leap forward.
Right. Exactly.
And taking care of yourself and doing what you need to do sometimes reveals bigger, better things than you even knew could be possible.
Yeah.
And so like, I think
awesome.
I think in bringing it back full circle, I feel like, I'm so glad we're talking about it. I feel like I owe you an apology, because I feel like after that conversation, I was like, I got to back off. I got to back up. It's just too much. And I just kind of like ghosted out of the way. So I am sorry that I did that.
Oh, that's fine. I do remember that. Yeah. There was a couple, and then, okay. And then, okay. But so the apology comes in because years later, flash forward, I don't know, a year ago or whatever it was, you started dating my roommate.
Yes. Yes, I did.
And that was kind of weird for me, because even though, years have gone on and I'm in a very great relationship, it just takes you back to that period of time where you're just like, ugh, like, it's not that every time I see you, I cringe. It's different when it's like, oh, we set up a thing where we're seeing each other, or like we see each other at like a group show or something.
Right.
Then it's just like, oh, I'm so glad to see. Like, 'cause I know. But when, you're dating a roommate and then you're just kind of going to be around, and, I didn't know what I was going to hear through the walls, and, like,
oh my God.
And I never did hear it. But, those are the, I'm like, oh, because every time I would just be like, oh God. So I'm apologizing on the off chance that I was weird or awkward or short or anything. I don't think I was necessarily, because it was just nice to see you. But, it was just, it's a different dynamic.
Yes. Like, even being here now in this space, like, there was a little weird feeling, but I think it was on both ends, because I always said, oh yeah, Joe and Graham. And I was like, oh, okay. And it wasn't revealed to me until a little bit later that it was Joe Flanders. And I went, oh, and not that that's a bad thing.
Right.
Again, I always love seeing you. Right. Like, it's you are near and dear in my heart.
Right back at you.
There's a little handful of film kids are always. I'm telling you, it's always still from Hank Effect.
Yep.
But it was also like the last time we actually saw each other was that moment.
Yes.
And going, is that still there?
Right.
So I think I was tiptoeing around, because I was like, I never dealt with it. I never dealt with Joe. I just up and out it.
Right.
Like, I was just gone, which is, I'm finding is, I know I'm a good person, but I'm realizing some of the ways I handle things, the ways in which I go about it, are utter crap. And so that's been my journey over the last 6 months, is going, well, that's crappy. I don't mean it to be, but that's how it's coming. I got to fix that. I got to work on that piece. So I'm unpacking that and doing that. So equally so, I'm sorry, but I'm glad we're here today.
Right? Yeah, I know. And it was funny because I was like, I wonder if she told about, like me kind of like making, telling how I felt. And then it was like, but I don't know if I should tell her. because then that might make things kind of weird.
I feel
So I just didn't say anything.
I feel like I did tell, but I think I kept it very nonchalant. I was like, yeah, we did Average Joe, and then like he told me how he felt about me, and it was a little weird, and I kind of ghosted him, and he was like, I think it was so easy going there. He was like, yeah, all right, like okay, well that happened,
right?
Like if it gets weird, we'll deal with it. I was like, okay, like he's just so
go with the flow.
So go with the flow,
exactly. Yeah,
good guy. So it's just I don't know. I was like, well, all right, yeah, let's take the effect. And you didn't even without talking to him. Like,
yeah,
all right, we'll see what happens.
That was
roll the dice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway,
but I'm glad we are talking about.
Yeah,
it.
I know.
Happy.
Yeah. Again, that's the nice. It's kind of fun to open this stuff up.
Yeah.
I love having awkwardly funny conversations. Just like, hey, remember that happened?
Sure.
That was weird.
Yeah, right. And it's in the moment you go, like it feels like the most detrimental thing in the entire world. And I was actually thinking about in the car on the way here, those moments where you like you're in the moment and you go, one day this will be funny. Right now, not even in the ballpark of it. You know?
Exactly.
It's just you kind of like hit that panic mode and then But I'm glad it's good.
No, it's definitely good.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Is there anybody from your life that when you see them, and this is not our situation, but I'm taking it to another level. Like, is there anybody in your life when you see them and someone just like, ugh, and you just like go back to a time or back to like,
oh yeah, like definitely. Again, kind of the person I'd mentioned earlier on, where it was like, just because he was so impactful with me getting here and being here and the feelings that I had, it was like I felt like a better person. It's like I'd come from Texas here to be, to kind of rediscover and be and jump in the bigger pond. And he was very instrumental in helping me through that.
Yeah.
And so, so anytime I see him or I talk to him, there's still that thing of like, do you still, is it still there?
Yeah,
Is it?
A little bit maybe.
No. Oh no. Okay. Check. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Cool.
All right.
Neat. And you have a girlfriend now, and that you call girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Okay. No, that's just, and it's that weird feeling, and this where you're genuinely happy for someone, but at the same time, you like you said earlier, you go, but why not me?
Yes.
Like there's that little twinge of like, all right, cool, great.
Do you remember the first encounter you had with him after you guys had broken up and everything? It's so interesting to me, like the ways that exes who are on decent terms communicate the first time, where it's like, when do you drop in subtly, my girlfriend and I were doing, just to make it clear, I'm seeing somebody, but you're also not trying to rub it in, but you also want to be clear about like where everything's at, like, it's so interesting, the different little games that we
subtle
play.
Nuances. Oh yeah. Funny enough, with this particular person, I actually haven't seen him, but it's like I've been around in places where he is or has. We have so many mutual friends, and it's like I went out to lunch with another mutual friend of ours, and he was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, man, I got onto him about breaking up with you." He's like, "That's the dumbest thing he could ever do," which made sense because when like putting the timeline together, the guy that I'm talking about that I'd been dating actually texted me like a month prior to this, lunch encounter.
Yeah.
And had apologized for breaking up with me and had said I wasn't in a good place and I'm really sorry and all this kind of whatnot. And I was like, wow, like that was really big. And, and I said, thank you. I was like, thank you for that. And, so all of a sudden, like a little glimmer kind of like popped back up in my heart. And then, flash forward, I went to lunch and I was like, that was the last I'd heard from him was that text. And then flash forward even further, I talked to another mutual friend and she goes, "Oh yeah, have you met his girlfriend?" And I was like, "Girlfriend?" No, last we actually talked, he was okay. And so that was when I had that moment of like, glimmer, dead light inside. Okay, never mind. Like, all right. Not that I'm like holding out by any stretch. But just that thing when you genuinely really like somebody and then it comes back up and then it goes back.
Yes.
So it's weird. I've kept up with that person, but I haven't actually seen them.
Right.
So maybe I'll report back on a follow-up on what it's going to be like to actually run into that human. But, it's one of those.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
It's just always weird when you run into somebody that you used to date or you were at least like romantic with. And then, it's just, it's, I don't know. It's just kind of amusing sometimes. You're like, oh yeah, we had that night.
Yeah. Right. Well, and there was a month span where there were 3 different people from my past who I hadn't talked to and literally over a decade who texted me something really kind of like shoulder, like nudge of like sexy, where I was like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I like that with the person that I'm with, but I haven't talked to you in so long.
Where's this coming from?
Why are you doing that? And my best friend Brad was like, something's in retrograde because that's all your past coming back, and it was one of them was very detailed. It was like the first person I'd ever slept with, ever, when I was like 17.
Yeah.
And he was like, remember that hot night in college, when I was in college and you were still he was 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
That hot night. And I was like, I mean, sure, I remember that. Let's not talk about that. That was a long time ago. Yeah. And also, what are you doing? Like, I haven't talked to you. What are you doing 15 years later? Like, texting me this. Like,
people fascinate me. It's one thing if you like run into them in lunch and then you go, hey, it was great seeing you. It got me thinking about that, and then it's like, it's still kind of odd. It's like, what is your intentions bringing this up? But at least there's like a context to it, instead of just like an out of the blue text,
Yes.
And I can admit, on a lonely night, I did send a text like that to somebody.
Yeah.
And the funniest part about it, and I can't remember what I said. I think it was, I don't know. I was basically just like inferring, are you also single still? Or whatever. And then she said, new phone, who dis?
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
No.
And that just kind of, it's...
Well, you never know. You're like, did you actually get a new phone?
Yeah, exactly.
Everything sinks, but, like... Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did, this was not anything sexually related, but I texted an old friend and he said, who's this? And I said my name. And then I don't know if it's an excuse because, they sync over, like contacts. But he was like, sorry, I keep downloading all these memes. So I had to delete contacts. Well, I've never heard that. And that's specific enough that I'm not going to challenge you on it. But also, what?
What? Like, do contacts take up that much data where you need... I mean, okay.
Yeah. It was just fun. I was like, oh, all right.
Also, I might use that as like, even just as a line.
Yes.
Be like, sorry, I just, downloaded all this fodder, all this Apple fodder.
Yeah. So I had to delete contacts.
Okay.
But it's specific enough, like I said, that like you're not going to question that, Like,
to all of you out there, just who deleted a number that you didn't mean to, there you go.
If you get a text from someone you don't want to talk to, but you don't want to just say, who's this? Create an excuse.
Right. Now, there have been people, and I don't know if dudes do this, but I know a lot of girls that do. I'll put somebody's name, like if I can't talk to them anymore, if I shouldn't pick up the phone, I'll put their name and then next to it put like no.
Yeah.
There are 2 numbers in there in particular. I just didn't put the name. Like it was that night after a lot of wine where I was like, I don't need to remember this name. And it just says no, don't pick up. And I don't know who those numbers are. But there are 2 of them in particular where I went, man, I had all the feelings that night that I did that. That night was all the feelings.
It's just funny to think about. There's just people out in the world that you like had these interesting moments with and stuff. And, and then it's just like, then that's it. That's all it needs to
done.
be.
Yeah. We're done with that.
So you said that tomorrow you're going to England?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this isn't your first time to England, right?
No. Part of the job requirements, quote unquote, is you go to elementary schools in America during the school year. And then when the American schools end, then you're all required, again, quote unquote, to go to England and Australia. And then some of the more seasoned or full-time performers will either go to Scotland, Ireland, New Zealand, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And I was full-time for quite some time. And now I'm part-time, which means that they'll call me and they'll say, hey, we've got a tour in New York or Alabama or Florida. Can you go?
Yeah.
And we go, sure. Or no, sorry, I'm booked.
Right.
And it's great. It's really great. But it's kind of this weird little secret society because there's only like 22 of us performers that do this show in the country. And and usually you're traveling by yourself, which is part of why I had to go to part-time, just because I love people. I'm like, oh, let's a tree stump. Let's be friends. And, so it can get a little lonely, but.
Was it the last time that you were in England that your story took place?
Yes, it was. Not this last summer before.
Okay.
It was, this was an adventure because it was also, trying to preempt it. Okay. So going into it, I guess, I was staying in a place called Hitchin.
Okay.
And Hitchin is 30 minutes north of London.
Okay.
And I was splitting my time between there and Cambridge. And one of my first friend ever, her name is Caitlin. Hey, girl, what's up? Caitlin is the girl that I met in preschool, like my first day of preschool. And you're kind of nervous little kid. And you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Caitlin was like, color with me. And I was like, all right. And now flash forward 20 some umpteenth years later, we're still friends. It's
that's great.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great. Maybe 30 now. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But anyway, and so she's in York, which is a roughly, 3 or 4 hours away, which is kind of a short ride. Like in Nedland, it's actually a short drive.
Yeah.
But I was super healthy at the time. So I had my 2 smart water bottles. I had just my overnight bag. I was going to go see her on the weekends. We can kind of do whatever we want. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to make that 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
And we're going to go and it's going to be great. So
yeah.
I downed my shake, took my vitamins. I got my smart water. I'm I'm hydrated.
Yeah.
I was ready to go. And I don't know if you've ever driven in England. Obviously, it's interesting enough where you're on the opposite side of the road. But also there's motorways there, which is what we call highways. Right. So it's, the long stretch of highways. But for the most part, it's driving through country land and country roads. And in the country roads are these big bushes that go along the side. So let's say it's usually a 1 lane both ways, which means that if you're driving, there's a little hole that you have to sometimes back into and let the other person go then move forward. Anyway, also when you're driving, if you miss an exit, like here in America, you just go to the next exit and kind of loop around. There, the next exit might be 7 miles away. Oh, man. It's crazy. So anyway, there's construction going on and we get stuck in traffic. So driving. And they detour us out onto these country roads. Yeah. And it ended up turning into a 2-hour delay. Ugh. It was 2 hours that we were there. So my 4-hour ride turned into 6. But it's just me in the car. And all of a sudden, after this really healthy, smart water, drinking thing, I was like, I have to go pee. Yeah. I was like, I have to go to the bathroom so bad. And the only thing I had, I was like, and I can't stop because it's bumper to bumper. So it's you'd move a few inches. And then the minute I would contemplate, I was like, well, maybe I can just get out and run out. But in this particular stretch, it's all open field. There's a hidden area way back in the back, but it's either a bush or just an open field, way back. Right. And so I'm going, okay, but I'm watching other people in this line because we're sitting there for so long, watching other people jump out and run across. And I'm like, you lucky, lucky bastards. They're just, and they're trading drivers and they're running out and peeing. And I was like, oh man. And it got to the point where I was like, I can hold it. But it got to the point where it was painful. You know that painful feeling? Yes. Where you're like, I have to go. Yes. I have to go. I can't hold this anymore. Yeah. So I tried to rig. I was trying to find in the car what I could possibly rig together to get this, to make this situation better. And I was like, all right, I can do this. So I got out my makeup bag, which looked like a taco. It was shaped like a taco shell. And it unzipped in the top. And I dumped all my makeup out in my bag. And I was like, okay. And it's plastic. So I was like, all right, I'm going to pee in this.
In the taco.
I'm going to pee in the taco. My taco's going to pee in the taco. And in my speaker bag that I travel with, there's big foam pads on the side. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to pull out the foam pad, put that underneath me. So if there's any spillage,
yes,
it'll just catch it.
And it'll be absorbed.
It'll be absorbed,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like, this is great.
Yeah.
And so I had on stretch pants at the time. So I was like, all right. So I like had my foot on the brake just in case we needed to inch forward. And I was like looking around. I was like, okay, no one's running. No one else is running to the loo. So I was like, let's do this. So I pulled my stretch pants down and I tried to hover above the taco, but the taco the sides didn't fold down, like it wasn't an easily foldable taco.
Sure.
So, but I was like, I got it. So I think I'm over it. I'm like, all right, this is good. Put the car in park really fast. And I start to try to go.
Yeah.
Not only did it not work, it's like it leaked down the side of my leg and then started spraying everywhere else just because of the way I'm shaped and everything. I was like, no. But the relief felt so good that I was like, oh my God. It was so hard to stop, but I stopped. And but it wasn't nearly enough. Like, it wasn't nearly enough to feel good.
And if you've seen Dumb and Dumber, you can't stop once you start.
Once you start, you can't stop. So it's like I had to like piggle and like cut it off really fast. And so I put the taco on the floor that had a little bit of stuff in it. And then I realized that, and I didn't realize until I had moved the foam over to the passenger seat, it soaked up nothing. It just went straight through. So I pulled my trousers back up, and right as I'm like pulling my pants back up, starting to pull it back up, it starts moving forward, and it starts moving forward. So I start moving forward with my pants down and my knees. I'm sitting in my own stuff. Yeah. But weirdly, and I know we've all thought this, I was so hydrated at the time, it didn't smell. It didn't smell like anything. I was worried that it was. I was like, this is amazing.
Smelled like electrolytes.
Smelled like smart water. Yeah. Like, it was just perfect. And so, but what was also funny is I'm in my rearview mirror seeing this couple looking at me, watching me, what I'm doing. Like, with this furrowed brow of like, what is going on? Because I can only imagine what it looked like, me going up and then down and then moving and then this foam piece flying through the window. Like, what's going on? Oh. So when I finally get to a stop, like we finally go, like I'm holding it. I get to a McDonald's. I've never been more excited to see a golden arch in my life.
Yeah. In
my life. I run in. I'm wearing black stretch pants, but it's like they're so faded. You can see where all the pee has changed around. I take my foam pads, my bag, my taco. I throw the taco away. Taco goes immediately in the trash.
Yeah.
But I can't get rid of the foam pads because it pads my speaker.
Yeah.
So I go in the bathroom and I'm just washing these foam pads. And these lovely English people are walking out of the stalls going, the heck is she doing?
Americans.
I know. Like, I changed my pants and I'm rinsing my pants off. And then I realized too that when I get back to the car, the foam had taken in some of it because now the passenger seat is wet.
Oh, God.
So the driver's seat is wet. The passenger seat is wet. The taco's gone, thank God. And so I get as many like napkins as I can. And I'm like soaking it up. And then I get 2 Happy Meals because I figured if I have to wash my pee-ridden foam pad in the sink, I should at least give something back. And I wanted to feel a little happiness. Yeah. So I bought 2 Happy Meals.
Do you remember the toys?
I do. It was Minions. But it was a disco Minion.
Oh.
And you could actually push a button and it'd be like, like make all those fun noises. Yeah. And so I go pick up my friend and I have like Happy Meal boxes sitting in there because she's going to get in the car and ride with me wherever we're going. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I peed in the car. and I was like, it's dry, but I'm sorry if it smells. I'm sorry. And this is true friendship.
Yeah.
She was like, she put her hand down. She felt it was dry. And she's like, I love you. No worries. And I was like, I just kind of like almost wanted to cry.
Yeah.
And I gave her one of my Minions. So we both had little Minions in the car. We're in New York, United Kingdom, being like, Minions. Let's go to the pub. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there was like pee on the seat, I was wondering if this turned into a driving Miss Daisy situation. You're like, you just sit in the back. Yeah. You can go in the back. I'll drive you wherever you need to go. We'll roll the windows down.
Right. Oh my God.
You get back to the rental car place. I'm like, listen.
Right. And I didn't say anything. I was just like,
No, I
it
wouldn't
didn't
either.
smell. It didn't do. And
Yep.
they better clean those things.
Yeah.
God, it was just so silly. So silly. So silly. But Caitlin, you are a true friend for sitting in my Happy Meal pee. It's the perils of England and driving. It's
a
not
lot.
driving on the opposite side of the road. It's being stuck when you have to pee.
What are you going to do?
Exactly. Get yourself a taco.
Get yourself a taco.
Get yourself a plastic taco. But not the foam pad. They don't work.
No foam pads.
No foam
This is
pads.
good. You should put a review on that item online and be like,
Right.
wow, these foam pads are great for many things. Absorbing urine is not one. Don't provide any context.
Yeah.
That's just your whole review.
Just leave that. Just
Yeah.
leave it just like that.
Be warned, not absorbent
No.
of urine.
It's right. It just goes right through it.
Otherwise, 5 stars.
Yeah. Exactly. Be like, thank you for your review. That was very telling. You're welcome.
I've gotten into the habit of looking at reviews on Yelp, and it just cracks me up. Like the stuff that people will complain about, you know?
Oh, man.
It's like you got to like take all these things with a grain of salt, because several grains sometimes.
God.
Because it's just like, I had to wait for 12 minutes
Mm-hmm.
for this and that and the other, and then there was a line in the bathroom, and I'd already had a bad day. People like just write about their lives.
Yeah.
And I had a bad day because the alarm didn't go off.
Yes.
And then my husband said he was going to clean the dishes, and he didn't. And I just wanted a margarita, and they weren't on happy hour prices because it was 3 p.m.
And you're like, well,
It's like, what is this?
that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Ugh.
But you do have to take those reviews with a grain of salt.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and then there's the opposite where like my roommate writes the most intricate reviews
Mhm.
but they're really good and they're terribly accurate, which is impressive.
Yeah.
I think there's one review that he made of tender greens that actually has something like 12,000 thumbs up on it.
Wow.
He wrote it a couple years ago, but he's gotten so much feedback from it.
Mhm.
Like Tender Greens is like, please take it down, please. But the other people are like, thank you, this was great. This is perfect.
Yep.
So he's made this whole art form out of
Wow.
writing reviews.
Wow.
And they're not all bad. Sometimes they're good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But he'll give this whole like, it's almost like you're like, yes, tell me more about this place. What is that? You know?
Okay. I've really got to embrace the nature of this show and tell a very embarrassing story that I may be judged for
Okay.
as far as things that happened in the car.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, no. You got to bring it on.
God. This was probably 10 years ago.
This is a safe space, Jeff.
Yeah. I've done a lot of cross-country driving.
Yeah.
And so I was driving from North Carolina to somewhere, but I went through Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe like sent some Facebook. I was Facebook messaging with a girl that I dated in quotations freshman year of high school.
Sure.
But, incredibly awkward. I don't even know if we ever kissed.
Right.
I remember, I think the closest contact that I got was we went bowling with some friends. This was towards the end of freshman year. And I just like slapped her ass.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, it was like we were bowling and I was like, good job. And they're like, yeah. I was like,
Joe.
yeah, that's
The things we do in
anyway.
our default setting of
Yeah.
just wanting to touch but
Yeah.
not knowing
yeah.
what's there. Right.
I had a hard time being even intimate in the way of like holding hands or anything like that. Like I was just weird. And then we broke up shortly thereafter. That was on AIM, on Instant Messenger.
Hey.
I think even a friend did it on her behalf. Like she was going away for the summer or something.
Oh,
and it was
goodness.
like, all right.
Oh, wow.
And then she actually left Ohio purely because of me. No. Her dad got a job in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
And, it's you sort of romanticize the what could have beens,
Yeah.
And so we had communicated I think she had like been in Ohio for, she was visiting friends or something. And she stayed with me for a night when I was living on the Ohio State campus the summer after my freshman year of college. And I'm not going to pretend to know what her expectations were, but,
Sure.
Something good might happen.
Sure. Yeah.
That was what I was also thinking.
That's what happens as you get older. You're like, oh yeah, this is an option now.
This could maybe happen.
Yeah.
It was some party of some kind at this house that I was living in, and I took way too many Jell-O shots and threw up in the bathroom, and then we slept in different rooms. So nothing happened.
Right.
And then I left to go work on some short film in Virginia, and she was like, it was kind of a teary goodbye, because I was like, I don't think this is how we'd hoped this would have gone.
Oh.
So anyway, we stayed in touch.
Right.
And, when you're cross-country driving, you don't always have that much to think about.
Sure.
So as I was getting closer to Atlanta, Atlanta, I started having some sexual thoughts.
Sure. Sure.
And they would not go away.
Oh.
And so I'm driving with a solid shape between my legs.
Oh, fabulous.
And I'm like, oh, this isn't going away. And I'm like, try.
Yes, keep going. Oh my God.
And I didn't even say, I should have maybe texted her or something like, hey, driving in Atlanta. Want to meet up for an hour? No, I shouldn't have done that. And I didn't. And then I drove through Atlanta and for like an hour. I can't get anything.
Wait, hold on. Did you do anything about it?
Not yet.
Okay.
So I get through Georgia and then I make it to Alabama. And this is still not going away.
Yes.
So I pull off at a gas station. Nice. And
nice.
I sit. What was the issue? I got gas because I need to be a good patron here.
Right.
And then the bathroom was locked or closed or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to, and I'm in rural Alabama. And I think even the fact at that point, I either had a California plate or Ohio plate. So
sure.
I forget. Either one is frowned upon in Alabama. I'm either a Yankee or a California liberal, whatever. Right. So I'm getting weird looks already. And I can't go into that bathroom. And there's a gas station across the street. Like, well, I already got gas at this one. Okay. So I go across the street. I go in and I'm browsing for way too long because I'm like, am I gonna do this? What should I? What,
I love
how
this
much?
Becomes such a thing. It's become such a thing. Oh my God.
And I'm still erect.
Yeah. Is it one of those? Did you tuck it up under the belt? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fabulous.
But I'm super self-conscious about it because people are already looking at me. I'm sure I had some sort of goofy T-shirt on or something.
I love it if people were actually just looking at your shirt and you're like, they can see it. They can tell.
Can see it.
They can sense my boner.
And I'm like, I'm hoping that just by being in public,
right,
it's going to go away.
Right.
Just the reality of this. There's nothing sexy about what I'm looking at. Confederate flags and homemade jerky and, but it's not. And I'm
it's all those bedazzled keychains and belts that they have in the gas stations.
And so then there's a line for the bathroom.
Oh, no.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Oh, no.
So then I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy something. I bought a mega oatmeal cream pie. It seemed like that was somehow. But then I bought it and then I realized they're going to think it's weird that I'm going into the bathroom with this oatmeal cream pie.
It's like American pie.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what? I don't.
Also, the fact that you bought a cream pie.
And the line to the bathroom, they were ahead of their time. It was just one unisex bathroom. I'm sure they had no agenda. They just had one bathroom.
Right.
But there was a grandma and her grandson. They were next or something. And they were having some sweet, loving conversation. And I'm just standing behind them.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. If this isn't going to take care of it, I don't know what is.
Oh,
this is still there.
Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm turning back to the exit and then going back to, I look like I'm casing the joint or something, holding my oatmeal cream pie, And then I'm like, well, I should just eat it while I'm in line. So then I'm not bringing it. And somehow that seemed like a crazy, I could just put it in my pocket. I don't know. And of course, it's in those moments you were convinced everyone is only paying attention to you.
Yeah.
And in reality,
they're all watching you.
In reality, they probably gave me a weird look when I walked in and I'm like, whatever, But in my head, so I like, and it was like a giant one. So I'm just like sitting there, just like cramming it in my face. And then finally it's my turn to go to the bathroom. And then I'm just standing in the bathroom, which of course is gross. And I'm just like, I'm like, dude, you've driven for like 2 hours. And you've listened to, I don't even know if podcasts were a thing yet.
Yeah.
You listen to radio, you listen to music. Nothing's, you just got to take care of this.
Nothing, you just got to do it.
So I did.
Yes. And I was wondering if there was going to be a relief.
Yes, there was. And thank God it didn't take long.
Yeah. So much buildup.
Yes.
So much buildup.
Yes. Toilet seat was up. I was courteous about it.
Good.
They had cleaner in the bathroom, and it looks like it hadn't been used in like months.
Sure it had.
I legit scrubbed down the toilet. And it was so gross.
You're so nice.
Not because of me, but just it was so much grime and stuff. And I was like, I gotta clean this.
You gave them
clean
the
whole
gift of your
bathroom.
gift. It's a free gift.
Yeah, so I like scrubbed the sink down too. I just was on a roll at this point. I just felt so bad, and
Oh my God.
And then I opened the door to leave, and then there's a guy. Talking about Dumb and Dumber earlier. Like, I don't know if you remember Seabass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that guy who basically had what did his hat say? I think it said like "Wine 'em, dine 'em, 69'em."
Yep.
It was something of that ilk.
In that right.
And he was just staring at me. I was like, he knows. How does he know? It's just one of those truck stops where they've got there's a hole in the wall or something, and But then
you look down and he's holding an oatmeal cream pie.
Yeah. Oh,
he feels you. Okay.
Yeah. And then of course I thought about it later. I was like, oh, he was looking at me that way because I was probably in there for 20 minutes because I was scrubbing down the whole bathroom.
That poor guy probably had to go too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well played.
And then
Played.
the rest of the ride was a breeze.
That's right.
Then
it was nice.
I just went back to blank thoughts, and it was all good.
That's a great story. That is a great story. Man. Oh.
Yeah.
See, and here's the counterpart. Since you shared,
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we have, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Yeah. To think that there are certain people out there, like I personally am a very highly charged sexual person.
Yeah.
And to think that girls don't want to touch themselves, jerk off, whatever you want to call it. I did almost exactly the same thing. I just didn't stop at a gas station.
You just kept driving?
I kept driving. So I'm going from Dallas to Houston, and I'll tell you the fun part about this. This is when I was going through the muck of my DUI.
Yeah.
And I wasn't drinking. But I was going to a wedding.
Yeah.
And so I was going to the wedding and then going to turn right back around and come back. So I looked really cute. I had like a little skirt on, like a little shirt, the whole bit. And, but to really add some fuel to the fire, I also had one of those puffers in your car where you have to, every so often when it beeps, you have to breathe into it to make sure that, so that way the government and everybody knows that you're not drinking and driving.
You're sober. Yeah.
Right. And, so I got this kind of same thing where all of a sudden I was like just charged with being like turned on for whatever reason. Yeah. And I was like, no one else is here. It's like open Texas country road. So there's nobody around. And I went, you know what? I'm going to see without crashing my car if I can do this. Can I do this? Yeah. I have to do this. Yeah. And so I put on the cruise control, hiked up my skirt, and I just started going to town. And right as I'm doing it, in my rear view, I see this large semi start coming, and so I had to very quickly try to and it's a tight skirt, some of those long pencil tight skirts. Yeah. So I had to try to shimmy it back down to make it look like I hadn't been doing anything, even though I obviously had my face is flushed and I was like, and then all of a sudden the puffer goes off, so then I have to breathe in the puffer, but I'm still not completely satisfied. So it's that whole moment where you go, I really need to finish that, but I don't know, and can he see down? I can't see his eyes, but can he see me? Are we in the Sweetest Thing movie right now? kind of thing. So I take care of the puffer, and I'm like, do I speed up and go faster? And he kept kind of doing that like truck flirting thing. So at this point, now I'm just frustrated, like sexually frustrated and mad. I'm like, stop it! I don't go away.
This is the opposite of the opposite of the vacation thing when Chevy chases Christy Brinkley. Right. Now it's some truck drivers.
Just like, what are you doing down there?
Need a hand?
What do you got? Yeah, right. Yeah. You're like, no. Oh my God. And so finally, it's just my little car, I just was like, zing, and like went forward. And I finished, and it was lovely. Like it felt really good. And there was a little small part of me that was like, I just masturbated in the car. I gave myself my own weird roadhead. Like, this is fabulous. Like, you feel empowered.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't crash.
Yeah.
I got off. No one saw me.
That takes skill. That's impressive.
Great. Yeah. My puffer didn't shut the car down.
I wonder if the inventor of cruise control ever thought one day.
I don't know, but they should use that as their next platform for be like, use your cruise control. Look at all the cool things you can do. It's not just for not getting a ticket and going the speed limit, it's so you can get off. Multi-purpose.
Get off without a ticket and get off.
Yes, there it is. Tagline.
Woo! Well, we're not going to top that. I think that is wow. I don't know what to summarize. You can do a lot in a car other than drive.
There it is.
In a moving car, man.
In a moving car.
Yeah.
We brought it full circle back to cars.
Yeah. Well, how fun it is when you're just open and willing to embrace that.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you. And obviously, I enjoy my car on many levels.
Where can people follow you on social media?
Yes. So my Instagram is at the Nicolery.
Okay.
So it's NICOLERY, the
nice.
Nicolery.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got a big presence on Facebook, which it's the same thing, the Nicolery.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go to my website. It's www.nicolehodges.net.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Nicole, not Nicole, so leave all the H's out of all these things.
No Nicoles.
No Nicoles. And and I'll be actually kind of like live streaming and doing Instagram stories of my trip to England and what's going on. Because I'm starting a new blog called Nicole on the Go. And
nice.
I've got a lot of people that kind of love to follow along.
Yeah.
And I love all my friends and fans, so it makes me really happy.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's going to be cool.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. This was fun.
Thank you. We're going to hug after this.
Yes.
It's so good.
Most definitely. Have fun in England.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
That was the episode. I hope you laughed as much as I did. Truly, she was a great audience and a great interview. She did it all. We definitely embraced some moments that we probably wouldn't otherwise have shared. Although it's possible it did appear in one of the previous episodes, but I know I didn't go into as much detail as I did today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Check out badtimesgoodsstoriespod.com. Past episodes, merch, Patreon, you get the drill. Any help would be appreciated. If you have a story that you think I should read on the air that qualifies as a Bad Time Good Story, email me at badtimesgoodstoriespodcast@gmail.com. I hope you have a great rest of the week. I hope your summer's off to a good start. Until next Wednesday, keep laughing.